Hi, welcome to Take Your Time. This is Somyajit Das. In this particular video, what we will discuss is Dagger to multi-binding, and we will take MVVM and we will inject into the view models using Dagger 2 and its concept of multi-binding. Now, the idea is before starting on any particular thing, just we have to focus on the problem what Dagger to multi-binding is going to solve us. Now, instead of if we think of view models, what are the basic ways we will instantiate view models? That is the first thing that we have to analyze over here. Now, normally we instantiate view models like this. It's not about actually instantiating, it's like we are always asking the view model providers to provide the view models for us, because instantiating in Java or Kotlin, it's like creating an object and you can actually create that using normal constructor. But the problem is the basic problem view model solves is when your activity is there but there is a rotation change and something is happening, still you need the last view model what architecture component has saved for you. So in order to do that, we have to go and ask the view model providers to provide the view models, because if there is a rotation change happens, we are again given the same view model that view model providers has for us for the same activity. Now that is why we have to go with this. But the problem is here, if you can notice, can we pass arguments like this? No, right? But to solve this particular problem, to pass arguments, what view model what architecture components has given us is view model factory. So what we have to do basically is, in the view model factory you pass your arguments, and that particular view model factory has to extend view model providers dot factory. And there, as soon as you are asking view model providers to get that particular view model, what will happen is in the view model factory create method will have the callback, and there the thing that you have passed at the time of creating this view model factory, you can actually get that particular argument or parameter and use it to create your own view model. So that is how typically we use view model factory to create view models, where we need to pass certain arguments to the view model. But there is a problem in this. It's very good and neat and tidy for small scale applications, but when you think of production level apps, it's more like there are so many activities, so many view models, so many fragments, so many view models. So if you are going for MVVM in a production level application, so it's not that there will be one single view model, there will be so many. And it's not that every single view model what are being used in the application, though all of them require the same dependencies. So there might be so many dependencies that there might be different dependencies that were required by different view models. Now to think of that, if we are using one particular view model factory and we need to pass all the parameters to the view model factory, so the class will not be scalable, right? So many things you are passing to one single view model factory, and using that one you are just like creating all the view models. So it's kind of messy, the code will be messy, and it will be very difficult to use. Now, just for the sake of that, we have to think of some sort of solutions, right? How we can actually maneuver things so that this becomes very easy for us to reuse those things. And it's not that we are going to write a lot of boilerplate codes every time we just send all these things and arguments. So we have to think of a concise solution for this one. Now, if we think of the solution, right, what are the things basically we need? If we go by step, we first of all, we need all our view models to have their required dependencies in the compile time. That is the first thing we need the view models to have their dependencies sorted. So view model A needs, let's say, dependency A, it has it at the compile time. View model B needs dependency B, it has it at the compile time. Now we have to create all these view models with their dependencies in the compile time. That is one part of the basic need that we require. Now the second thing is, we need these view models with their dependencies. That is first thing sorted. Now we need all these view models ready with us in the compile time. that all these view models are ready with us with their dependencies. So view model A is ready with us and we keep it somewhere. View model B is ready with us with their dependency and we keep it somewhere. So that is the thing. Now these two are basic things. And the third thing is our view model factory has to have access to all these view models which are ready with all of their dependencies sorted. So these three basic things that we need to sort over here. If we can sort these things, that means done and dusted. We can have our view model factory which has list of view models and which all of the view models there are associated with their dependencies. So in that case, we don't need to do the dirty work of passing the dependencies to one single view model factory. Every dependencies we are passing, we don't need to do that. We can think of a solution like this. So what we can do is we can somehow keep the collection of view models and inject it to the view model factory using Dagger. So that's the thing. Now where we can store these view models, there has to be one collection which can be injected by Dagger at the compile time to the view model factory. And as I told you previously, and you must have been you must it's that already who are using view model factories, that view model create method will get the callback, and there we can use this collection to get the view model which is required at the runtime. And everything in terms of Dagger dependency, dependencies injection, everything will happen at the compile time. So in the runtime we can have everything sorted. Now that's multi-binding. Basically in the high level, that is multi-binding for you. I tried my level best to make it easier for you, but again I am saying the basic funda of multi-binding is you have to have your view models which are already having their dependencies sorted, and you have to keep your view models somewhere specifically in some collection, and that collection has to be injected in your view model factory in order to use view model factory's create method to get up and running with your view models. So whichever activity requires whichever view model, you can use that one and give it back to them, because everything happens in compile time, so you don't have to worry anything about runtime. Now all these things I have discussed with the help of MVVM and view models. That's one part of that's one problem data multi-binding can solve. But there are a lot of other things also, like you can even we can have had this discussion with worker RX worker or your listenable worker. So basically work manager also has this worker factory with which you have to add your dependencies in your workers. So that's, so there also your this multi-binding comes handy for us. So we have had an idea right now about the solutions that we have to make. Now just so let's just quickly jump up to the basic fundamentals code snippets that we'll be using. Now I have all the time I have been discussing that we need to have one collection where we will be storing the view models. Now to do that, we already have one particular inbuilt feature in Dagger. That's where the multi-binding is. We can use set or map to store these things. Now specifically what I will do here is I will use Dagger's map, and for that one we already know, we all know that in order to store something in maps in Java or in Kotlin, you need to have a key value pair. Now for that one we have to have one key. So here the part of code that you are seeing, that's the annotation class, or even in Java you can use interfaces for that one. Here what I have done is I have created a key for the map with which I will store the view models. Now I have annotated that with @map key, which signifies that this will be used by me as a key for Dagger to use their map. Now if you see that there the class has been named as ViewModel key, so it's self-explanatory. Using this one I will be treating this key as a key to insert the view models. Now there is second part is one view model module has to be there using Dagger obviously, and use, and with that particular module what we will do is we will use the into map annotation of Dagger and pass the key that we have created just previously, and with that key we will bind each and every view model that we need to store in the map. So here if you see that main activity view model is something that I have passed we using the key view model key, using that one to store in the Dagger map. That's all. Now the last and final piece of the jigsaw is there is another one, this view model factory module. If you see that there is another module I have created. So basically what view model factory does is it needs the, as we have already discussed, view model factory needs the collection of view models. Now the collection we have created the map out of Dagger, where we have used our own map key, which is view model key obviously, and there we have already in the second step you can see we have stored the main activity view model. The same way you can store view model B, view model C, the same way. Now so we have the map sorted with us, which Dagger can now inject to the view model factory. Now we all know to inject something to any class we need a module for that one. That's what it is doing in this particular provides annotated method. That view model factory here, what we are doing is we are providing the map to the view model factory by the third pointer that you are seeing. Using this module we will pass Dagger's map, which has all the view models, to the main view model factory. And that's all. That is how we are going to have this implement this Dagger multi-binding concept. I believe the concept is clear with you guys. I believe I have tried to make it very easy so that you can understand step by step what are the things we are going to cover up and how we are going to do these things. Now let's look at the code so that we can actually understand that how things work in proper manner. So let's just quickly look into the code that will how things are in terms of coding, how to implement this multi-binding. So basically before starting on, I just need to show you the build Gradle that I am using currently. What are the things? It's more like Dagger 2.20 Dagger Android support, because I will be using Android injection, not the normal one. And these are the basic dependencies that you need to sort, and lifecycle extensions that we require, because anyway we are going for MVVM, and retrofit, JSON, RxJava. So there are basic things. Now these are the things we will be using in the app. Now before jumping also, I would like to say that all this code base that you will have, as like always I will be sharing the GitHub repo so that you can actually clone or download the repo so that you can have a quick look into that one also. So I believe the concept has been discussed already. So the first one is the key. Now if you can see that view model key is something I already have. So if I can just open it up, you will see that what are the things here. Let me just zoom it a little bit. So basically it's an annotation class that I have showed you previously. Now how so before going into the the core implementation of multi-binding, let's just quickly recap what are the things required for the Dagger as a whole. So basically if you can see that this di is the folder that will be used by me, and their annotation, let's just leave it like this for now, component and the module. So these are the basic fundamental of di. Now what I have done is I have created separate modules. Now API module, I'll just quickly show you what are the things that API module has. It has HTTP cache, JSON, okay, HTTP client, retrofit, and API client. API client is none other than the client where I the interface where I will be declaring the methods to call the APIs. Now basically this is a particular module where I will be having all the network related all the dependencies that are required to use network related operations, and I will have their @provides method for each of them, and that is what it is, API module. So name suggests it will be used for API related purpose. App module, only the application context is returned by this particular method, and I believe that is used by cache. Let me check. Yeah, so cache is something that is using that particular application instance. So that's it. And these are the two basic things. And apart from that, these view model factory module, view model module, I will come to bit later, because these are mostly focused on the MVVM and multi-binding concept. After that, we can have a look on the component. So basically this is my app component. So if you have already used Android injection, you can know that this is how we have to declare app components and Android injector. There you will be passing your application class name, and you have your Android support injection module, with which we will be using, with which actually we are going for the Android injection. Activity builder module, here you will be declaring the activity level things. So basically these are all the activities where I need the dependencies for me, and that's what it is. And there you have to define the module which are used by the activity itself. Now that's more of it. And here in the component, what we have done is we have yeah, declared the methods with which we need the basic dependencies, with which we will be creating using Dagger, with which we will be creating the dependency graph for us. Now application is something basic thing that we require, and that is what it is doing in the builder, and base URL is needed for us to make the API calls, right? So if I can show you the application class, you can understand that okay, this is the builder. Application is one instance of the application has been passed, and base URL I have have it, and build to call the build, so that we have the Android injector Dagger application thing ready for us, so that we can treat this particular application as a Dagger application. Because as soon as you extend any particular application class with Dagger application, you have to override this function application injector, which will be which will give the Android injected application. That's what we are doing here. Now that's basic Dagger for us. Now let's just quickly jump into the view model part of that one, and how we are making this multi-binding along with the view model factory. So the first thing is, what we have done is, here we have created the map. I have already showed you. So this is the view model key view model key, which will be used by us to put the view models in the map of Dagger. Now after that, let's just go into the view model module. What it is doing, this is a module where we will be using the into map annotation of Dagger, with which we will use the view model key that we have used, and using that one, this key, we will bind our view models in the map of Dagger itself. Now why I am using binds here, why not provides? Because module and provides are together. Now if you don't know guys, binds and provides, both of them work the basic funda of both of them are similar, but the issue is, in case of bind, your method has to be abstract and the module has to be abstract class. But the basic difference between these two is, provides always work on after work on instance methods. So basically everything that you need to provide through any provides annotated method, Dagger has to instantiate it first. And for bind, it just needs, but in case of binds, it just needs to have the parameters sorted, so that it can just provide the dependency with those parameters on the fly. So that's a high level, but I believe that's not part of the discussion of this particular video. So if you are really interested to know further, you can actually dig deep into that one, or you can put a comment also. I can create a separate video for that one. Now I believe that view model module is something we have already understood what it is doing with the view model key. Now we'll jump into the view model factory module. So what it is doing, basically the map that we have created, it is taking that map with this part, and it is providing a view model factory with that provider map injected into that view model factory. That's all guys. So basically view model factory module will take the map and create a view model factory with that map. inserted into it. Now if you have any confusion how to create and how to bind another view model, so you can create your, let's say, view model A, and you can have you can just write, you have to just write this part of code again, and you just have to, let's say, a view model. Now it is, so you will be a view model, and the same way it has to be here, a view model. And you have to understand always that view model module will always provide or bind those classes which are extended by only view model, not your specific view models. I believe I make sense over here. Now after that, what we are doing is, we take a look into the view model factory, what it is doing. In the view model factory module, we are just creating this view model factory with the map that we have already created. So basically the view model factory, there we will inject this particular view model factory basically we will inject uh, inject the view model factory instance, which will be passing from here to this view model factory. So that's what it is. So in the inject, if you see that view model map is something we are getting, and that's it basically. So if you don't understand this map, its map is starting from here and it's ending here. So this part is the key and this part is the value. So key is class out of view model, that's what we have defined here, if you can see, and the value will be provider of view models. So key is the view model, and the main using this one, this provider view model, the view models will be stored for us. And basically this is the view model factory. So in the create method, what we are having is, we will be returning the in the create method, we will be having this the model class that will come when we'll ask for the view model factory. So I'll just show you the code, what is happening here. So if you go into the activity itself, where is my activity? Yeah, here is my activity. So here, once we are passing here get main activity view model dot class, that means here we are having this view model factory is coming like this in the create, and with this we know that view model map has the key with the view model itself. So that key we are passing here, and we will be getting the view model itself back. So that will happen for each and every view model that we will bind using view model multi binding and bind into the view model factory. So I will not take much time now. So basically what we will do is, in the main activity view model, now what you can do using the inject annotation, you can now inject everything that you like API client is something we will be injecting here, and the context also. So API client will be returned by the method that we have defined in the API module here. This particular method will give us the retrofit API client, using which we will be making the API call. So basically what I will do is, I will just quickly have two debug pointers here and here. So if this API client that we will get over here has certain things, so it's not null, that means the injection happened properly, and we can then have a look whether the API call successfully returned the value or not. So we can run the application. So I'll just okay, first let me run the application. So I believe build is happening, and after that we'll just so okay, I am running a bit late. Okay, so let's just quickly go back and then come back in the app itself. Yeah, here. Okay, so that's what we are getting here, API client. So let's just see. Okay, we are getting something as retrofit. It's not that we are getting empty things. Okay, so then we'll just go ahead. Okay, so we are getting the response also. So the API call has happened, and we are getting this thing as a response. So the API client that we had over here injected by Dagger using multi-binding and injected in the view model is successful. So I believe that was the core idea behind multi-binding. I believe I made sense throughout the video. I tried to make it simpler for you guys, and as or like always, I'll be uploading this particular code base to GitHub. You can actually clone it to play around it one. And there is one more thing, guys. I really wanted to understand how you feel about this one, because I am planning to create another playlist where I will be putting more of data structures and algorithm related problems. So it will be mostly like from lead code I will take one particular problem and I will solve it in front of you guys, so that it will be beneficial for your interview preparations also. If you guys are focusing on top level companies, there the algorithm part is more important, I believe. So you can keep me posted. You can get me give me an idea how you think about this thing by providing your comments. And see you soon in the next video. Take care. Bye.